Now, all right, I'm recording. Don't say anything incriminating, boys and girls. Don't worry, no one's not gonna see it. Just block, bro. Okay, what we're covering today is dash blocking. Cue amazing intro. There's no amazing intro. Unlucky. All right, so since my last video, everyone asked about dash blocking. I'm gonna explain it for some. You want to be handheld, so I'm gonna hold you through this experience. One Piece is overrated, cheeky. Dash blocking in Dragon Ball Z is literally dashing, pressing forward and forward like this, and blocking. Blocking is either holding back or down back. For you annotation people, that is 6-6 into 1 or 6-6-4, or whatever you want to say. So again, into down back. That is how you do it. Now you're probably asking, you see a lot of players you play and you're like, okay, where's the application of this? And if you see my last video, the what is the fabled dash block, you'll see that. So you can see when you're doing that. Now you're probably thinking, when do you do this? Can you show finger movement? No finger movement allowed. So offensively, now in Dragon Ball Z, like I covered in my last video, get so quickly. In Dragon Ball Z, when you are -3 up to -5, because of the game, in this game you're able to dash, and within 2 frames you can block. So as long as a move doesn't hit you within that time, you can block. But I'm not here to teach you maths. Man's here to just teach you. I'm gonna give you I've done all the maths for you. Just remember 3 and 5. Remember those numbers. As long as you're -3, so Goku, you see here, see the -3 on the left hand side. As long as you're up to -3, up to -5, you are able to dash and block irrespective of the move your opponent does. So if we go by that standard, you can see here, if I press this, Cell always retaliates with this. If I do L into L or L into M, Cell's gonna hit me. However, if I do dash and I block, you see the wind behind him. So what you're trying to aim for when you're doing dash block is you want to see that wind that you're seeing there. So you want to see your character. I got hit there, I didn't do it properly. Then hit again, I'm terrible. So there you go. You want to see the wind come through your character's cells at the back. If you're on hitbox, obviously it's a lot easier for you than most people. So that's how you can offensively use dash blocking. So if you combine this with staggers, so if you're doing L, you can really mix up your offense versus some opponents. And offensively, like I covered in my other video, if your opponent is someone who enjoys, you're thinking, oh, why would I dash and block? Your opponent is someone who enjoys reflecting, someone who likes mashing, someone who likes doing jump super dash. If you just mix up the array of these options, put on 33%. Let me just show you these 3. So this is just to show you offensively how you can kind of use it. So you do it like this. Put it on play recording. After blocking. There we go. Start. So if I do this, my character's got a command grab. So see, normally, this is all random recording. So if I do this, I can still be ready. Oh, Goku's obviously for some reason Goku decided to super dash and miss one more time. So there you go. So you can dash and you can sit there and be ready. Obviously you got to delay your 2H just a bit further. So this is a technique you can use to really vary your offense. If you want to, and obviously you can 2H there again. Just delay your 2H a bit. And there you see he's even though he's pressing jab there, I'm dashing and blocking. So it's a good way to kind of vary your offense and to go over again. That is just forward, and down back. So do this. You can punish if they're mashing reflect. I know you guys get a lot of that online, and then you can also vary that. Now let's go to defensively. Defensively, you can use delete was recording. So defensively, if Goku did vanish, in this situation, me as a defender, I can't. Well, I don't even know why he's getting hit. Let me put Goku on Goku because this is some cuckoo line. 1 second. Let's match. There we go. There we go. So there in that situation, it's Goku's positive. So if someone vanishes on you, they're positive. So in that moment, unless if I backdash, my opponent can call it out A lot of you get this online. People do IADs and you're like, oh, what do I do? How do I stop this? Just those two options. Now again, good old friend dash block kicks in. So here in this situation, if you're defending, you can actually dash and block. Now you're thinking, why is that so great? So if you're defensively, if we go to the second recording, I evade the whole IAD situation. So in that situation where I would have backdash, which a lot of players will do there, instead I position myself going forward, so defensively I'm safe here. Now you're always thinking, oh, what other applications can I have for this? And there's quite a few. So everyone's favorite base crew, who's the cream of the crop right now, basically doing this into another one of these. So on block it says -5, right? you try to challenge. This is what happens. This is what happens to a lot of people. And you get hit. So in this situation versus basically in the situation defensively, if you dash and block, you're a lot safer in this situation. One of the most important ones, but I am definitely not going to forget, is Ado Gohan. That's back fist. The classic. We call that the tournament classic. Hi, Matt. I hope you're doing good. So a lot of situations here, the Gohan goes for back fist. And then you try to challenge, you get DP'd, you lose the tournament, GG's. Thank you very much, easy man. 35,000 games. So to evade this situation versus Ado Gohan, you can actually dash one more time. Dash and block. So a lot of players will choose to backdash, but you can also dash the block to kind of lower your risk. So that's how you can use it defensively. Again, I repeat one more time. On defensively, offensively, between -3 and -5, it's a great time to dash block. But on the flip side, when your opponent is either up to +3, +4 in some instances, all the way down to the exact same number of -3. So -3 to about +4, you can dash block. Just keep that in mind, regardless of the situation. But let's do -3 to +3. Let's keep it there actually. -3 to +3, you can dash block all you want, offensively or defensively. Now, you're asking yourself, this is such a powerful technique. How do we beat it, right? You're just thinking, oh, I'll just do this all the time. Nothing's gonna beat it. But before that, I go into how to beat it. There's one more technique you also use dash blocking for, is full screen. So full screen in Dragon Ball Z, one of the most powerful tools in Dragon Ball, before I go on to how to beat it, actually, is this. Obviously not Super Dash. Is Key Blast. So in this situation, it's very hard to move or function in the situation. A lot of players struggle and you're like, oh, I got hit jumping. What you can actually do full screen is apply the same principle with dash block. I'll bet a lot easier. It's actually a lot easier in this instance, because it's like -7 or plus full screen. So you actually have a lot more time. And because of the travel time, you have a lot more time. So here, dashing and blocking in these situations is very good for moving around, and especially if your opponent decides to, I don't know, try to mix up and they do S, and maybe this time go Super Dash. But because you're just doing dashing and blocking, hey Alfredo, hope you're good. Because you're just doing dashing and blocking, you can always be ready to 2H. Literally, you're not doing anything. So there, you can use dashing and blocking or dash block full screen. I'll bet it's a lot easier. That's just dashing and then blocking. You can use the exact same premise defensively full screen to maneuver around. So you're facing characters like Z Broly and all types of other characters. You can use this exact same technique to accomplish the same things. So again, just to cover, before we go into how to beat this forbidden dark technique, it's literally forward. So your character gets dust behind their back into down back. If you want to be safe and not get tagged, or just back. When you're full screen, you don't really need to hold down back unless you're facing characters who have full screen lows like Cooler. So forward into down back, 6 into 1. That is it. Simple, right? Now let's go on how do you beat this, or if to when should I do this or when should I not do this? Now we're gonna go into health. Now you're playing someone, your health is looking mighty low. Your health is looking dire. Let's put low health. You're in tournament, your health is looking dire, like so, and you're doing dash block like this like a crazy man. Your opponent kills you. by doing something completely you weren't ready for. So your health is really, really low. You're like, oh, I'm just gonna do something random. Your opponent either dashes back twice or does something that really catches you off guard. So the lower your health is, the more risky doing dash blocking is, because what you're essentially doing is you're offensively. So if I go for recordings, offensively, yes, you're safe from not getting hit, but you're dashing and holding down back. So what your opponent can do in this situation is they could decide to take their turn. But they could decide to do this and try to catch you out. They could command grab you to kind of catch you out. So once your opponent kind of understands the level of that you're both playing at, say I'm here, I'm just doing this, I'm doing this, I'm dash blocking, and I get hit because my opponent realized that I'm dash blocking. So defensively, you allow your opponent to have options. I mean, sorry, offensively, sorry, not defensively. Offensively, you allow your opponent to take their turns as they wish. And if you're facing a high level opponent, sometimes they can throw you out with a DR. Sometimes they can throw you out with DRs. If you're playing someone like Cell, sometimes they can throw you out with moves that will completely make you question life, like so. So if you're playing Cell, I think a super dash is coming. Why did it do that for? There we go. Playing someone like Cell can really catch you out. Like here, I'm dash blocking, and I get crossed up. I am not expecting that, but if my opponent is on that wavelength, they can hit you with some of these things. So even though you're dash blocking offensively, if your opponent catches your rhythm, or they see where you're about to dash block offensively, they can still catch you out, and also they can backdash. So if you're not keeping your strings honest, if you're just doing without hitting them with LL, your opponent can do. Let me give backdash. No, not this one, not backdash. Sorry. Let's go here. So if I'm doing this, my opponent can backdash. So my opponent can do the exact same. So unless I really see, not a lot of characters can challenge that. So unless I'm doing mediums, but again, if I'm doing mediums, I'm not dash blocking, am I? So you got a bit of a game there. So there's a bit of risk there that your opponent, once they realize that you're now in a little meta game between you and your opponent. Now that's just offensively. Now defensively, as we talked about before, I showed you Cell doing the rolling crush. Defensively, your opponent can just do this. Sometimes they can DR you, and you're here doing oh, let's put the health back up before Cell starts his thing vanishes all over everywhere. Let me put the health back up. So defensively, if I'm dash blocking, for a lot of people, I might not be ready for that. I might not be ready for that DR, but because I'm dashing and blocking there, the mental stack that I'm doing here is adding on me. So I'm thinking more. Oh, I have to dash. My hands aren't static. So this is what I mean by the mental load when you're playing. You're thinking of a lot more things. Now you're dashing. You're like, oh, where's this gonna come from? If my opponent just decides to do after vanish, he's just gonna hit you, but does this instead. Does a 6M. Not only are you dash blocking, but now you have to react to 6M, and you got to react to a DR. Whereas before, if you did nothing, you'd see this coming a mile away. Here, I'd see that coming a mile away. But because your hands are doing so much more, you're leaving yourself open to more mix-ups that you shouldn't have even been close to. Now again, back to Cell. You leave yourself in rare situations like this, where Cell especially starts doing this. Like that. Cell literally does jump, EX thing, and it crosses you up. You're like, what just happened? and another situation there is when you're doing it defensively, you can find yourself in these really peculiar situations on defense. And especially if you're dashing, you're not taking your turn. You're just allowing your opponent to attack you more. So pick and choose where you kind of do this. Now, I talked about offensively and defensively against it. Let's talk about full screen. So full screen, it feels like it's invincible, right? So full screen, let me put this Goku in. You're probably thinking, how the hell do you beat someone who's just continuously just doing this on the ground? Right? How do you beat someone that's just doing that on the ground, right? I'll show you. Sure, my opponent's ready for all. My opponent's ready for beams, super dashes, but they're not ready for some of the simplest thing ever. A straight IAD. Because you're on the ground and you're moving around, unless you're 2Hing like that, your opponent has to be ready to IAD. I mean, ready for like this. They have to be ready to block in time. So for a lot of people, they will run into an IAD in a situation, or while they're doing dash blocking, they're not ready for. Sometimes with the lows, yes, they're doing dash blocks, but they're not ready for really fast moves that might catch them out. So yes, they're ready for your fireballs. Yes, they're ready for these things, but simple mix-ups like running up 6M. I know my recording is blocking it because obviously I recorded it that way, but running up in 6M, falling around and just running up in 2M, these options become a lot stronger once you realize that your opponent, all they're doing on the ground is doing this. So all your opponent's doing on the ground is they're doing dash block, dash block, dash block. What that means is they're static. So your opponents, the smarter they are, can start planning around it. Like here. Look, now I know my opponent is dash blocking. I can set my opponent up, especially if I have C assist or whatever. I can really play around with my opponent's mind if they are deciding to dash block on the ground. So, but again, that goes into fighting games, and I'm not here to talk to you about the philosophy around fighting games. This is a short video about obviously how to, when to, and if to use this technique. But again, just to cover again, I explained to you offensively, defensively, and using it during when you're dashing full screen. There are so many other applications that you can use it for. But obviously be wary, with great power comes a shitload of responsibility. So please practice, and that's how you use the technique. Now, if you cry again in the comments, I am not gonna go over this. I won't make another video on this, but feel free to talk in the comments if we want to discuss dash blocking or anything else. Open community and all that. I inspire critical thought. I'm not here to tell you how to do things. I'm here to show you how to do things, and we can talk about them afterwards. But I'm not gonna do no cheesy outro. No, please like, comment, subscribe. Man, don't do them things. Just if you like the video, you know what to do in it. Safe. Have a good day, everyone. Peace.